If you're watching this video, you've probably played or heard of Slime Rancher. The smash hit indie game about wrangling and ranching tons of different slimes has built up quite a reputation for itself over the years, being loved for its unique gameplay and charm. But did you know that a large amount of content never made it into the actual game? From slimes to modifiers to mechanics and upgrades, here's some of the most interesting things that never made it into Slime Rancher. Now before we begin, I'd like to quickly mention that this is not a ranking video, and the order these appear in isn't best to worst or vice versa. This also isn't everything that was cut from the game, just most of the interesting ones that are worth your time. But now, let's start. I'd like to start off this video by talking about slimes that never made it into the game. The one that the most information is known about is called the meteor slime. The meteor slime was a purple slime with a yellow star on its face. Development notes suggested this slime would have had a unique spawning mechanic, where an asteroid would fall from the sky and crack open to reveal the meteor slime. It also would have had an interesting mechanic where it would pull in surrounding objects, such as food, plorts, and slimes, that would then orbit around it, with the range that it would pull objects in increasing the more agitated it got. Once all objects were attracted, they would experience a zero gravity effect for 10 seconds, causing them to float before crashing back to the ground. This slime also would have been a veggie eater, and in early builds of the game, its favorite food was listed as the silver parsnip. This slime would have been released in the Glass Desert update but was sadly removed. The reasons it were cut were because the magnetism code often didn't work, and its mechanic of pulling things in was similar to the dervish slimes, and making things fall from the sky was already being done by the mosaic slime. Yet, despite never being put into the full game, its asteroid prop still remains in the game files. Much less is known about these next two slimes, the Sluggo slime and the Grave slime. The Sluggo slime was only seen on an early developer whiteboard, where it was depicted as having antennas and a small tail, similar to a snail. A small note next to it describes it as the fairy growth slime, yet the meaning of this is still not fully known. This slime was planned to eat fungi, a food source which also never made it into the game. It also appeared on a list of potential pre-order bonuses, which suggests that it could have been a reward to anybody who pre-ordered the game, but sadly it never made it past the idea phase. The second slime is called the Grave slime, and was also seen on an early developer whiteboard. Very little is known about this slime except for its appearance and diet. It appears to have a skull-like mask on its face, giving it a certainly creepy look. The planned diet would have also been rotten fruit and bones, as you can see on the whiteboard. The final decision to cut this slime was because it seemed too dark to be on the far range. I mean, I do get it. This guy's literally wearing a skull and eats bones. Some other scrap slimes include the pure saber slime, which is just what a saber slime would have looked like and would have been ranchable, but it was added into Slime Rancher 2, so we did get it eventually. The puddle Gordo also never made it. It's entered in the game files, but nothing else is tied to it. I do get why puddle Gordos were added, because then they'd have to be in water, and unless a secret area was hiding in water, what purpose would they have? They'd be too big to float. I'd also like to mention the mellow tar, which was an unused texture in the game files. The only traces of a calmer version of the tar are some face textures for the tar in the game files that never got used. They were called Tar Mellow, and featured a calmer version of the tar face. While its original intentions still go unknown, some things suggest that this was just what the tar was originally going to look like, before the developers opted for a more ferocious looking one. Was this just an early tar face, or were tars originally going to be tameable? We may never know. Next we have a completely unused mode, called Steel Rancher mode. And no, not Steel Soul mode, this isn't Hollow Knight. Iron Rancher mode seemed to be another minigame type mode, instead of just a more challenging version of Slime Rancher. A development roadmap says that Steel Rancher would have you race against the clock to collect certain port quotas across multi-day rounds with various modifiers, delivering a more survival-like experience. Some of these modifiers are Quackula, which causes chickens to become aggressive at night, Bad Moon Rising, which would have a 5% chance for tar to spawn each night, the Gambler, which gives slimes a 10% chance to reduce any random port, Gobs of Globs, which would increase slime spawn rate by 30%, the Hunger, which causes slimes to get hungry twice as fast, and Unstable Ports, which causes ports to explode after 30 seconds. Honestly, I wish they kept that mode, or at least the modifiers in the game. These modifiers seem to be so fun to be able to use. Imagine running back to your ranch while being chased by a horde of chickens, only to realize a tar spawned and all your slimes are gone, and now you're being attacked by tar and chickens at the same time. It'd be chaotic, yet funny. The next one is a scrapped mechanic, crouching. Crouching wouldn't have lowered the camera view, it would just decrease your movement speed and collision box, like a normal crouching mechanic would. It is unknown why this was removed, but I think it was because there was not really a use for crouching. I'd also like to have a brief mention of the anti-grav zone here. The anti-gravity mechanic was a field where objects had reverse gravity, making them go up to the ceiling. The code for this remains on the game files, implying a possible early concept of an anti-gravity zone. The next big one here is rain. Rain would have had a chance of happening every once in a while in-game and was purely cosmetic, so not dealing any damage to tars. An interesting fact though is that in early Slimepedia versions, it was mentioned that puddle slimes would drink up ponds, but the ponds would be refilled once it rained. Even though it was never added to Slime Rancher, a weather system is in Slime Rancher too. Speaking of water, the hydro shower was another thing that never got added into the final game. It was a gadget that would be unlocked after the hydro turret, and would be placed on the ground anywhere you want. It had to be manually activated, and would then release 10 pulses that would have a rain effect on the area. And unlike the rain before this one would actually deal damage to tars. The reason this was scrapped still isn't really known, but I think it would have been cool. Maybe the developers just thought the hydro turrets did the hydro shower job better, so it never got added. The next one here is actually a really good idea, and I'm sad it never got added. They were corral wallpapers, and would have been purely cosmetic items that would do what they sound like. You could put them in corrals, and they'd be a fun design or animation inside. There's only one wallpaper in the game files, and it looks very squished, but it'd still give you an idea of what these wallpapers would have looked like. I'm really sad this was never added. The more stuff I can give my slimes, the better. Next we have slime filter mode. This would have been a thing you could toggle from the very start, meaning you didn't need a backpack upgrade for this. It would have made it so you could suck up everything except slimes, which would be super helpful, especially in the early game when you're trying to collect all the ports from a corral. The final thing in this video is pretty small, but it's 2 slime fashion slots. Yes, you originally could equip 2 different fashion pods on a slime, one in the front and one on the top. This would have been cool, and I wish it made it into the main game. And that wraps up the video. If you guys enjoyed this, make sure to like and subscribe for more content. Also, if you want to see more videos of scrapped game content, leave a comment saying so. I was thinking about maybe doing some scrapped content videos on games like Undertale, Hollow Knight, and Silksong, maybe even Slime Rancher 2. So if you want to see more like this, make sure to tell me. But thank you for watching this video. I hope you learned something new, and I'll see you next time.